You know, it's what you see, but it's also what you add in from your own, your own personal experiences and, things like that.
So do you feel like friendships such as the one that you have here inspires work?
Absolutely. I wish he was around more often, but no. I used to be a very solitary artist. That wasn't the life for me. It's very easy to be a hermit and be very reclusive. Being here in this facility, being around 70 different artists, exchanging ideas, it makes the work that much stronger because you need ideas to be conveyed, not just for art, but anything in life needs to be bounced off other people's ideas and just be refined, be focused, and you get a much better perspective of who you are as an artist and where you're at.
Yep. And some of this interview is to let people that don't come to events like this know what's going on. Would you kind of in your own way tell them what they're missing out on this vibrant type of event?
Yeah, come on down to
How could you miss
this event. Not only there are hundreds of events going on every year.
Yep.
Get out of the house, go see what's going on in the world, get inspired, you know what I mean? If you're not an artist, you'll still get inspired to just do something with yourself and just make a little difference, even if it has to do with your own little self, your own little family, whatever.
And down in Miami, there's so many places to go to, so many things to see. It's not just one gallery opening a night. There's live music, there's gallery, there's everything that you should go see. So experience Miami, experience
not just
South
the clubs,
Florida.
not just the club scene.
Yeah, it's not just about the nightclub in South
We all
Beach.
know it once in a while.
There's a great cultural, artistic presence down here, and
Absolutely.
I suggest everyone come down and see it.
I agree.
And I approve of that because I know that the art scene is really making a difference in my life, and I appreciate the work that you guys do and the events that you have thrown. So is there any final remarks that you would like to tell the viewers or anything that you would like to tell an aspiring artist?
Well, my name is Jean-Paul Malozzi. I'm going to plug myself here. And you can find me at the Bakehouse Art Complex. For the young artists out there, I know what you've been going through. It's not an easy road, but you know what? You follow your passion, like what I've been doing, what this lady's been doing, and I guarantee you life will reward you. And that's the best thing I can tell you. Just follow your dream and just keep on plugging away. It'll happen. It will happen.
You heard it first here at the Bakehouse Art Complex. This is Zach once again. We're here with Mike with the most creative, inspiring pieces of artwork, little sculptures and everything that I've seen in a while. So, Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very good, thank you.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your artwork, because to me it just kind of reminds me of like robots and stuff like that, like the movie and stuff, and like how did that come about?
It came about with a bet that I had with my father. I was in New York City and the taxes were just way too high to live with. So I told him I was coming back to Florida and I needed something to come up with, and we challenged each other to come up with a sculpture with collected objects. So I started collecting objects and that inspired me, and as I started collecting more and more, I just couldn't stop. I just started getting inspired by other ideas and directions.
Yeah, and I understand that collecting could be pretty difficult to do. Like, what goes in the process of collecting these different items?
It can be really a challenge, but I think once you find something that inspires you, you start looking for it and it'll appear itself.
A lot of these items that you're collecting, like vintage or real antique items?
Most of the items that I have are over 100 years old.
Wow. So what was it like trying to find these items? Like,
a lot of stuff I have found at antique stores and flea markets. I also take photographs of some of the pieces I'm working on, and I'll talk to the people at the antique store, and they'll say, you need to go see this guy or that guy. I've also met a lot of collectors, and there's a lot of places on the internet where you can find a lot of items as well.
So what else kind of goes through your mind when you create these robots? Because, like you said, all of these are like real pieces and parts. Like, what is that like? It's
really a lot about, you find something that inspires you to make something. Like, for example, for this guy, I found this old microphone, kind of a Frank Sinatra microphone, and I thought it was so cool that I just started kind of working from there, and I'll start sketching and coming up, and I'll start looking at different parts. You know, these are part of a fan. It's sorry to go out of camera. See this fan? That's actually the foot.
Oh.
So you can kind of see where all these different parts come from other things to make the pieces.
So what about the symmetry of it? Because I noticed that you have, most of your artwork has like two of everything on each foot. Is this sometimes that you'll get one piece and it's hard to find the other?
Yeah, exactly. There are some pieces where they're a little bit different. One's Like I have a piece over there where one leg is shorter than the other, which made him stand differently. So when I posted, I was able to do that. But yeah, when you're building something, I try to go for symmetry.
So is this something that you built from your youth when you made that bet with your father, or is it something that you kind of just felt like you just, you know?
I think it's an adult thing, but at the same time, I kind of think that I'm trying to make things that I would have liked to have seen when I was a kid. You know, there is that element of you being 9 or 10 years old and trying to make fun stuff again.
Yeah, so is a lot of this influenced by, you know, youth?
I think so. My dad was an electrical engineer, and he built our computers from parts that he ordered. He built our television sets. And so I think that taught us as kids that we could take things apart and we could put things back together and we had no fear.
All right. So what do you feel is your next step when it comes to your artwork? Like, what is that point that you want to reach?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm still exploring, and I'm learning from other artists who I admire and see that, which opens up a new direction. So I'm just going to keep just seeing what's out there.
Yeah. And like, you know, I'm doing a little bit of experimentation too, and seeing stuff like this makes me want to go a little bit further than I've already gone. And, you know, just that limit. Like, what do you feel that there's any limit when it comes to creativity like this?
I don't think there's any limit. I think the imagination just goes on forever. And I think that what happens is that each of us inspire each of us to do something else. You know, and we just keep growing and stepping on top of those inspirations and just keep moving.
When you stated that, you know, imagination goes on forever, I feel that there's some like adults that don't really get to be that kid again that they once were, that had that creative mind that they once had. What do you feel about that?
I think everybody's a kid. I mean, young and old. And I think that sometimes we get too wrapped up in what's going on around us and we forget to be kids. And in my first studio, I had a yardstick that was like this high, and it had a little sign on top that said you had to be this high to come in here. And so I think that you kind of put those things in your path that make you keep remembering that we're here to have fun. You know, we're put on this earth to have a good time and smile.
Yeah, never forget to have fun, never forget to smile. So is there any final remarks or anything that you would like to tell to any aspiring artists or anything like that?
No, just don't let anything stop you and just do what you want to do.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate your time and your artwork, and hope to see you again only at Bakehouse Art Complex.
Thank you.
I swear it's like, you know, this is a production. You're like the executive. I'm the talent. Y'all are the film crew. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Once again, this is Zach here at the Bakehouse Art Complex, and we've made it to the second floor here with Babette. Babette, how you doing today?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm good.
You enjoying the Bakehouse tonight?
I'm enjoying the Bakehouse. Are you enjoying the Bakehouse?
Always. Yeah, this is home.
Yeah, so what brings you to the Bakehouse Art Complex? What made you choose this spot out of all places?
Well, I used to be at Art Center over on Lincoln Road, which is a cool place to be, but it's pretty interruptive. But having been there for a long time, I really wanted to continue community, because sometimes you literally just need to pick something heavy up and you can't do it, but mostly to have dialogue with public and primarily other artists. Yeah.
So do you feel that this is a better environment or better vibe for you?
I like this more than when I was at Art Center, but because I think you grow wherever you are, and I grew there in many ways, but coming here, I really am now at the point where I need to be a little more singular and solitary with my work, and this, excuse me, this environment helps me do that because it's not as interruptive on an hourly basis as it was there.
Did you get a second floor view over there? Because I know I wouldn't want to leave after seeing this.
No, I had gray space around me there because I did put a loft on my studio because I'm a big fan of having my space mirror who I am, and I love space, and I sort of need a lot of space. But this space is killer because it has tons of daylight, which is interesting. It helps the work because now I have trouble painting at the end of the day. There's not enough light for me to see, even though I have tons of lights.
Yeah.
In addition.
So I kind of feel like I see a little bit of that space in your artwork here, like, what do you feel that your artwork speaks when people see it?
My work is a lot about space. It's about space, color, texture, surface. So all of the senses, I suppose, that I appreciate and use, because things like that chair, texture, pattern, the floor below our feet, in some ways I'm amplifying and replicating that, but I'm trained as a graphic designer, so there's a lot of spatial stuff going on in my work. Planes, surfaces, I'm a huge fan of architecture, so that's always a little bit. There are windows and doorways in a lot of my pieces as well.
When you speak of all these details that you pay attention to, as in space and texture, do you feel that that's a trained sense that comes to an artist that your average citizen wouldn't, understand?
I suppose, when you're doing abstracted work, it's not something you concern yourself with constantly, that the audience understands it, because a little bit is left for them to interpret. But for me, it's pretty natural within me, and it's when you spend enough time with the work and you do enough work, you start to, often you're asked, where does it come from? Why are you doing that? So you start to dig around and you find that it's just layers and layers and stuff in your history, things that impacted you, things that resonate with you from then to this day. So maybe I didn't quite get to the core of that answer, but it's all a little bit ambiguous as well. You don't always know why, you just know that it's important that you do it. This, for sure, for me, this is meditative work. It's without it, even a few days without working, I start to feel a little less grounded. And when things get weird and tough, I have to sort of get past the weird, tough part and say, go paint, and everything gets clearer.
So do you feel it's an energy that you feel when you're working on your art or when you're around art?
Absolutely. I think a lot of artists, and vice versa, will say that they wish they could be musicians, probably vice versa. Musicians wish they could paint or create 2D and 3D work. But it's all about energy. I think that artists and musicians are after the same thing, which is getting to this place where you sort of lose consciousness a little bit. You lose yourself to the energy, and it's pretty euphoric. And I think one of the reasons a lot of us wish we could do it as a musician is that often then it can be communal. Yeah. This is very singular, unless you're doing collaborative work. And doing it communally would be steps above, in some respects, doing it singularly, because then you get that energy amplified.
So with what you were saying, I wonder if we could divert what you were explaining with the abstractness of the energies. If energy could be converted into a physical object, what do you think it would look, feel, or sound, or look like, or what colors?
Well, I think that is very relevant to what type of energy it is. If it's blissful energy versus calming energy versus angry energy, then it's going to take on perhaps intense color, perhaps intense what looks like physical movement. It's going to mirror the kind of energy, in my opinion, because that's exactly what my work does. I know that one of the quietest paintings I ever made happened to be blue, in the world of blue, and it was the first piece I made after 9/11, because it was a week or two into that experience where everybody was feeling pretty mopey. I had lost a friend in one of those buildings, and you just didn't quite know how to shake what was happening. So, wow.
So would you say that was an extreme feeling or extreme energy?
It was a low. I was in a pretty low space, and I said, just go and throw paint around. It doesn't really matter what happens. If it's crap, you throw it away. But what came from it was a very quiet piece, and I know that it was just sort of me finding a peaceful place to be, to check out from the news and all that we were feeling at the time.
I truly feel that some of your explanations will make it more clear for those that feel that they don't have an artistic view on things, because, as you can see, art is all around you. A lot of times you don't realize that, and, just some of your explanations, I feel it will enlighten some of these other people out here.
That's good. Well, I think that people allow themselves culturally to be intimidated by art, and they don't need to be, because what you have to do is, almost again the music reference, allow yourself to not necessarily like everything. You don't have to even like any of it, but the idea is just to be exposed